Forging a square corner. It seems like a simple process. You should just be able to bend a bar into a square corner and call it done. But it really doesn't work that way, because the measurement across your bar is smaller than the measurement across the corner. So there has to be extra material in the corner. The process generally is considered upsetting, but you don't really have to look at it as an upsetting process of moving material into the corner. I've also heard people refer to it as moving material away from the corner and leaving the corner right where it was. Whatever makes it easier for you to understand the process. This has a lot of applications in ornamental work, but also in practical work. Something like this holdfast that I make quite often has a big square corner. Although that's not technically an upset corner, if you watch some of my other videos, you can see the secret of how I do that. The shelf bracket, very simple shelf bracket, in flat stock has a square upset corner. And this small ornamental piece has a square upset corner. And that was mostly just an exercise in multiple processes. But this would make a very nice little shelf bracket or ornamental bracket of some sort for an architectural piece. So, how do we get here? Well, I'm going to start with a piece of 1/2 inch square bar, and this is cut 16 inches long. So for the purpose of our exercise, I am going to put a mark in the center, and I'm going to make our corner right in the middle of the bar. And I'll explain why I'm doing that. If you're making a piece that needs offset legs, you can do that. I mean, one bar could be 5 feet long and the other side of it could be 3 inches long. It doesn't matter, but you need to know where this has to be. And there is going to be some material loss as you upset the bar and achieve more mass into this area, whether it's right at the corner or in from the corner. Like I say, you can look at it both ways. It doesn't really matter. That you're going to need to know, if this has to fit something, how much material you're going to lose from each end. So we know that we have 8 inches on each end. We'll see where we end up there. Nice deep center punch at your mark. You need to find this again hot, and it's going to be your guide throughout the process, and it will even show to some extent in the finished piece. So make sure you can find it again. Now personally, I think this is a job that is better done in a solid fuel forge like coal, charcoal, or coke, because you can get a concentrated heat right where you want it. The gas forge is going to heat up a lot more bar than we need, and that's going to cause some problems. But unfortunately, I still don't have the blower on the coal forge fixed, and we have the gas forge, and you can still use it, and we'll have to deal with the issues that it presents with the longer heat. A third option would be to do this with a torch. A rosebud on a torch might actually be the easiest way to do this if you have a torch and don't mind spending the money on the acetylene. And that just occurred to me, a fourth option would be an electric induction forge if you have one. Give you perfect isolated heat. Really be a nice thing to use for this, except once you get the corner bent, you might not be able to get it back in the coil for the induction forge. Who knows? So let's put this in the gas forge. We want the center punch mark we made to be on the side of the piece throughout the process. So we'll turn it sideways where we can't actually see it, and we're going to put a bend in here. We don't need to go quite to 90 degrees, and try and keep most of this fairly straight. This is a little bit cold to do any upsetting. I'm just trying to establish the basic bend at this point. It could certainly be hotter. So that gets us started. If your gas forge is wide enough, you can get this back in the door and get that corner hot. It's barely going to fit in there. To keep that heat right where I want it, I'm going to cool off the longer part of the leg. This gets a little fiddly, and that's why a gas forge or a coal forge would be better than the gas forge. That keeps our heat isolated where we want it. Now it's a seemingly simple matter of pushing both legs into the corner. Mostly, it's just a lot of fiddling, a lot of back and forth. If you're up here, you're getting a lot more effect because there's no bounce. So it'll take fewer blows there than it will if you're working here. And because this is an even length bar, I can keep going back and forth. As you work this, keep an eye on your center punch mark so you know which side needs to move where. Things tend to get a little out of balance if you're not careful. You can also help control that. You'll notice this time I cooled more of this and left this hotter. But now I'm moving the center punch mark this way, so next time I'll heat more of that leg. And hopefully I can get it centered again. I don't know if you can actually see that punch mark or not. And you can either drive the leg down like I did there, or you can stand it up and work the corner, which is probably the more efficient way to go. In a short piece, we could flip this end for end and work it exactly the same each time. But if you're working a real long piece, you won't be able to do that because the handle will be way too long. Now while you're doing this, you are also upsetting it in thickness this way. At some point that will be to our benefit because we'll be able to draw some of that back out towards this corner. And we are just about there. Have to get the bar back to 1/2 inch square. Now if you're doing this, don't do too much off the edge or you're just going to end up putting a little notch in it, but you do need to get the bar forged back to the original size. Keep an eye on where that punch mark is and make sure it's staying centered. As you get close, now you have to start worrying about this actually being square. The mass is there, but we don't want a too open or too closed bar. Clean up any rough edges. So that's just about done. I think I'll take one more heat. This still looks a little bit too open to me. And it doesn't hurt to check it with an actual square. Yeah, it's definitely a little bit too open. We need to close that up some. Now if your anvil is good and square, you can use that to square it up. But try not to nick this inside corner. I like a little bit of a round inside corner and a nice square outside corner. Yeah, it's just almost right. Sometimes it's easy to go just a little bit too far one way or the other. In this 1/2 inch bar, you could actually make some adjustments cold. That's pretty darn good right there. So that's an upset square corner or simply a forged square corner, however you want to look at it. It isn't really technically difficult. It just requires a little bit of persistence and attention to the details and controlling your heat. So go out and try one. I think it's a good project to know how to do. Now, I talked about a formula for knowing where to put this. If you're doing ornamental work, you almost always measure bars from the center of the bar. So that would be where we put our center punch mark. And that was at 8 inches. Now our center punch mark is at 7 3/4 inches from this end, and coincidentally 7 3/4 inches from that end. So we have lost a 1/4 inch on each side. This is 1/2 inch bar, and that is what the formula tells us. The formula that Francis Whitaker used to teach was half the thickness of the material is lost to make the corner. So 1/2 inch bar, that's 1/4 inch. So we lost a 1/4 inch on each end. If this dimension is critical, you need to know that, and you should do test pieces just to make sure that the way you do it holds up to the formula. You may be making a little heavier corner or a little lighter corner, and it might not be exactly the same. So it's worth doing a test piece if you're doing ornamental work. But that's it. I've got 2 of these made. I made one for a test piece before I started the demo, one for the demo. Seems like we ought to do something with them. So we'll add that to our list of projects yet to be announced. And we'll turn these into something practical that may be one of our good Christmas gift ideas. So we'll probably do that fairly soon. I haven't forgotten about where we left you off with the fireplace tool set, and we'll get that done too. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Love it if you give a thumbs up to the video and hit that subscribe button down below. If you feel like donating to the channel to help support it, there's a link in the description. There's absolutely no obligation. The content is free as always. I'm having fun doing the videos. I hope you're having fun watching them. Have a good day. We'll see you later.